because that's my emotional moment actually. So I got woken up by a phone call at like 3 a.m. one day. A buddy and a coworker that had gotten involved. He called me like, yeah, it was 3 a.m. And he said, "Dude, check your wallet. Like, have you seen what's going on?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've kind of been up all night watching it." So, uh, so we got to talk about that. And it was just a really exciting day at work that day. And my emotional moment that I was talking about was I had a lofty goal. Like ever since I was 21, like, I tried pretty much everything. I had gotten into network marketing and I was trading and I was in real estate. And I wanted to be a millionaire before I was 30. And I was 29. I was I think less than a month away from my birthday whenever some of this first happened. And I actually got to reach that goal that day, like midday. I was And I remember driving home from work that day, and I was calling my parents and just telling them, what all had transpired. They didn't understand; it was a foreign language to them. Just like whenever I first tried to like share like what I was first getting involved in, and they
Welcome everybody to this episode. We have Jake here. He's gonna talk about his journey into crypto, and gonna listen very carefully. And he's been in crypto for many years. And thank you for taking your time this evening.
Yeah, absolutely, Franz. Thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate you bringing me on and kind of talk about, how I got started in blockchain and where we're going. So, for those that are listening that, actually got to see me speak in Fort Lauderdale, I'm actually going to share those slides here. I recently got to go back through my whole journey and document a lot of different things that I've gone through to really build some visuals so that people can kind of understand what we've gone through in some of the early space.
It was a
Whenever,
great speech, by the way. And me and Michael, who was there in Fort Lauderdale at the event, it was great. And I also did lots of videos to listen to it again and again. So it's nice to refresh people's mind again.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Let me pull some slides up real quick here. All right. So for those that don't know me, my name's Jake Dietrich. I am a community member in Connect and all of the impact brands. I'm very supportive in all of the different solutions for different problems in all areas. So I'm very passionate about every single project that's being worked on here. And, a lot of people have like kind of referred to us as like the OGs, the, original gangstas or the old generation, whatever you want to call that. But that's kind of what we've been dubbed as because we've kind of gone through a lot of the building process. We've seen a lot, and we go out and help other people educate them in blockchain so that they can be onboarded into this process as it gets easier and easier. But I haven't always been that. At one time, I completely despised crypto. Like I absolutely hated it. I came from a traditional, I was a stocks and options trader and I got into real estate. And that's what I looked at was only these traditional type markets. Whenever Bitcoin came out, I thought it was a pure scam. I thought someone was just selling some weird thing on the internet that had nothing to like represent it. It wasn't tangible. Um, and I just thought everyone was getting scammed on it, and I wasn't even too early to the game whenever I started paying attention to it. I think it was about $400 whenever I started seeing a lot of people talking about trading it. But this was my game right here. I was trading the SPX quite regularly and all of the different stocks and indexes. And I like to call that as I was too smart for my own good. I had completely blocked off a complete section, a complete industry that I did not know about because I would not look into it. It completely clouded my judgment from it. And that was mainly because I listened to the wrong people. I followed people like Warren Buffett and all of these traditional investors and these major tycoons and saw what they were talking about Bitcoin. And again, it was because we wouldn't look into it to dive deeper into that underlying technology that I'll get into. But 2019 came around, and I had a friend that he had slowly started to get me to look into blockchain. He was like, "Here, dude, just set up a wallet. Here's actually some nodes that you can buy because I know you're in power generation, and you should just buy these, get them set up and online so that you can at least start mining." And I really mainly just purchased some just to shut them up. Uh, but I'm very thankful, very fortunate for that friend to, you know, take that time to almost force me to open up a wallet. And he gave me some of my first rewards and, some of that transaction that I had no idea represented anything yet. But he did that. And he called me in 2019 and he said, "Hey, how fast can you make it to Las Vegas? Like, can you be here tonight?" And I was like, "I guess so." So I remember opening up my phone and looking, and I had to leave within like the next 30 minutes to be able to be there that night. But he made it such a big deal that I needed to be there. There were some really, really influential people there that, it's just whenever you get an opportunity like that, you don't miss it. You want to be around that type of influence and be a part of whatever project it is that they're working on. And I realized like they're all excited about this. Like these are people that I look up to that are much smarter than me. They're much more business savvy than me. And if they're excited about this, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I've missed something here and maybe I need to take like a deeper look into it. And, I did. And I had this epiphany from having this discussion. So, right there, in that picture in that bottom left, that's Michael McCarthy. He was the developer for like Words of Friends and Mafia Wars and Farmville 2 and some big name games that had launched through either app stores or Facebook. And he opened up this whole new world to me about blockchain. He made me understand that it's underlying infrastructure that supports all of this. So like even Bitcoin, it's not this fake money that someone's selling online. It is an actual network of computers that is owned by those people and it's autonomously taken care of. There's no need for these trusted third parties or for people to upkeep them or anything else. It's literally up to those miners and those node operators to build that infrastructure out and all of the other pros that come along with it, like it being, international or global and not needing all of the regulatories and all of the other things that take place within it, that it can be adopted purely by people for the people. And what he made me understand was something that, taking true ownership into an industry for utilization, because that was still what I never really got too much about Bitcoin, other than people talking about it as like a store of value, was the utility of it. And so he kind of talked about his career in the gaming space and being a passionate developer and you know the mix up or the mess up with how consumerism is in today's society. You have very passionate developers that want to create things as forms of entertainment for the consumer, and the consumers want that so badly, but everyone was held over a barrel because these development companies have to serve their investors first. So their investors put up the seed money and they build a game and maybe it's a box hit. Well, the next year, whenever it's time to like reinvent something new, he talked about going into a board meeting and pitching, an amazing idea for a game, and they would just shoot him down. They said, "Well, it sounds fun. It sounds like it could be good, but we don't have any numbers off the revenue if that's going to work or not. We do have this game that sold, 2 years ago. So let's go ahead and just take that and stamp it out like another cookie cutter, change the bow on it a little bit and put it back out there." And, he was appalled by that because he's passionate about serving the community and making sure that what they actually want is what they provide. So he left that business and he got into where now we're all level with the community, and there's that symbiotic relationship that takes place. And he said, let's take those servers where if it's like Fortnite, where it's a black hole where people are spending money and they're tossing it in, they're buying the different skins for their characters or their guns and different things that make the gameplays fun, but there's no ownership in that. If the gaming server decides we're going to wipe all this, or if there's some type of major malfunction or crash, and all of that can just be wiped away in a minute. He said, what if you can take ownership of that to where the server is split up amongst lots of different node operators, and they're incentivized to go out and build that network so that it's robust, secure, transparent, and it's fair. Then everyone collectively has ownership over that. You no longer have to worry about a central third party taking care of and maintaining all of this. So now whenever you put money into a game and you have an asset that you like, or maybe you play the game and you actually acquire an asset, you can actually sell that in secondary market because you own it within your wallet. So it's not stored on some central server somewhere. Or if someone gets bored with a game and all of that money that they normally would have had just tied up into playing that game, they can now retract it out and put it back into the next game that they're playing so that they can constantly have this invigorating adventure no matter what game that they're playing. And he opened my mind tremendously. And what's funny is NFTs really weren't even talked about. I saw it coming back from this event. I saw people starting to talk about NFTs, especially whenever like Bored Ape Yacht Club and all of those started coming out. That were literally just JPEG images. And I had this much deeper level of understanding of NFTs whenever it came to interoperability and utility inside of like this specifically. We were talking about games, but the tremendous power and ownership within NFTs, and the whole world wasn't even ready for that yet. So this group of people were well ahead of the curve and still are, for what's being built. So I started listening to the right people now. I found that, being in this room and seeing what's possible with this technology being built out, that I wanted to be a part of that. And that's whenever I really went down the rabbit hole. I went out a week later and bought a Bitcoin shirt, and here I am like wearing it out whenever we took our dogs to a like October festival for Halloween and everything. And I'm just a huge fanatic. I understand the vision behind it. I understand the underlying technology and everything that transpired to get it to this point. And again, I was feeling late to the
Sorry, how many hours did it take to like fully understand like this can be actually change the world and also be gigantic in the whole world, like blockchain, GALA, and Bitcoin? Like, took it 10 hours, 1 week, 2 weeks?
Well, I'd say for me to understand that, I got that at that event. Like, so within like 8 hours of that day, to at least understand the vision and what everyone else was able to, basically download to me that I could understand that. But then I bet you I put, probably 1,000 hours into researching over the next year or so, just to really deep dive into all of this. And that's not really required anymore in, today's world. Like, blockchain's getting so simple that just like your modem at the house, you don't have to understand how it operates to connect to the internet, right? And that's the point where we are here in the vision of Connect and everything else kind of coming together. And I would love to have a like a conversation after this story, just specifically on that topic right there.
Yep, me too.
So now I'm a believer. I went from trolling on Facebook posts about Bitcoin and blockchain and everything else to now I'm positively talking about it because I understand it. I'm no longer ignorant to the subject, and honestly looking like a fool talking bad about it. And I'm a node owner. I had purchased, whenever I got back, I purchased my arcade nodes, which was what GALA was called at the time, uh, and sat on this congratulatory email right here. So that was a very exciting time for me to know that I'm going to be a part of this network for ownership and connectivity to it. And we patiently waited. So again, it was about a year that transpired of just having this email, but that didn't stop us from going out and sharing the vision and bringing other people into the community. So that's what we did. We set out to build and waited for this time to come. So it was about a year later in 2020, I got a message that says I missed a distribution. So I must have missed an update or something that was put into a Discord, and I got a missed daily distribution. So I realized that we were live. So I was able to download the nodes and get them online that next day. And funny story was I bought these computers specifically to operate these nodes on the like day after I purchased the nodes. So a buddy and I, we got like a group deal and bought a bunch of these server computers to set up, and we sat on them for, it was seriously close to a year of them just kind of staying dormant, waiting for this client software to be loaded onto them so that we could start operating and earning rewards. So it was a long time coming. It felt very, very slow, but we stayed on track with the vision that was being built, kind of behind the scenes. And we're really excited to finally have everything online and finally having something to show for it. This is actually a really funny story for those that are already operating nodes and understand the user interface that we have now. But back then, you had to know your wallet address, and then for easy updates, because there wasn't really any block explorers or anything out there for us to really index the blockchain. But you had to look at the Excel spreadsheet that got emailed out daily, see how many points that you received within that time, and then see how much GALA you received in a column in Excel spreadsheet. And it was an absolute nightmare back then. Like, you had to operate your node daily, had to make sure that you had your 6 hours of uptime. But then whenever it came distribution cycle time, like so on Monday nights, a week's distribution came through. You had to ensure that your nodes were online at that point, because if they weren't, you missed that entire week's distribution just because you weren't online. So we'd have spare laptops up and all kinds of different stuff just to make sure that if one of your other nodes went down, that you were still online to be able to receive the distribution. So it was a lot of tough times back then compared to now to make sure that you were properly participating in the network. And the actions and digital rewards. So we got this interface a little bit later to where you could actually track your actions. So you had your node actions, and then you also had your actions for expanding the network, going out and bringing new community members in and plugging them into the blockchain. And we ran really heavily at this time. So started going out, bringing a lot of people in, and started earning a ton of digital rewards for doing so. At one time, I remember some of my, what would be just a $200 commission, were upwards of 500,000 to $1 million GALA. And that's exactly what we wanted. I wanted the digital rewards. I didn't want the commission in Ethereum or USDT or anything else. I believed in the project, and I wanted our native distributions for what we were building out. And the utility ecosystem. NFTs came live, and there were some small playable games and different things that you could utilize these NFTs inside of and actually earn digital rewards for playing. And then when the world found out, this was an exciting time. We had been accumulating rewards from operating our nodes. We had been accumulating rewards from expanding the network out. And
so this is 2 years, 2019
yes,
to 2021. It took like almost 2 years, 1.5 year until something really happened.
That's correct. Yep. So this was some major momentum taking place. There was a announcement for a Binance exchange listing. There was an announcement for a Coinbase listing. And that kind of collectively over a few months led to, a really emotional moment for me. I remember the first little spike whenever it was running, going into work, and I had been up like all night watching it. A couple other buddies were, and just seeing like some momentum of outside of our community starting to onboard. Like there is utility for the ecosystem. There's games being played. There's NFTs here, and outside community members were purchasing the gala so that they could buy the NFTs to start playing in the games. This is real world revenue coming in through a blockchain, not speculation. Granted, of course, people are always going to speculate. People are going to buy something if they, believe it's going to go up or anything else. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm purely here to talk about the utility of it. So people that were spending money on games are now coming and flowing through our network. And we start to see a lot of this momentum in the charts. And it was really, really exciting. On this second spike, whenever it started to come up, that was the Coinbase listing day. And it's just more and more liquidity availability. People are very familiar with these centralized exchanges. They always want to interact with the product or service, but if they have no way to find the cryptocurrency to utilize for it, it kind of slows things down. So as there's more and more progression here, it's just another untapped community coming into your community. And that day, that emotional moment that I'm talking about was just a personal goal of mine. I've always had this, whenever I was doing network marketing, or I got into stocks and options trading, then I got into real estate. And then, crypto and blockchain was, I wanted to be a millionaire before I'm 30 years old. And I'm 29, almost 30 at this point. And what happened or transpired that day was I reached that goal. And I remember being able to drive home from work that day and call and tell my parents, this lofty goal that I've had for years, I actually was able to make come to fruition because of this opportunity. So it was a really emotional moment for me, but it was such an amazing one for me. And the needle stayed pegged with that. More and more community members were coming in, more and more games were coming out, more and more NFTs to be utilized. And it was just really awesome to watch that influx of people and that influx of revenue coming in for real world products and services, all being tracked on the network that was built out because of us as a community, operating nodes and getting more and more expansion and more people to build out that robust network. And that led to fun adventures. I was able to travel all over Europe whenever I went to Galaverse 2. Went to Galaverse 1 or some of these other pictures here, and then also went to Snoop Dogg's compound for a meetup for owning all 21 songs that he tokenized on the Gala blockchain. There was like probably about 100 of us that were there for that. It ended up costing me, I think, $100K to be able to get all of those different NFTs. Some people, I got really lucky with some of the random loot boxes. There were some people that probably spent upwards of like $250K to be able to acquire all those songs. But it was an amazing thing to go to Snoop Dogg's compound where, Eminem and Dr. Dre and all those guys recorded in the studio, and be able to hang out with them for a day and just really feel appreciated as a community that supported the projects that were being built on top of our network.
So you have been in crypto 100% since this time?
Yeah. I actually sold all my real estate, and I haven't really traded other than like small retirement accounts and stuff. Yeah.
Great pictures, huh?
Yeah, it's much more passionate now for me to just spend my time doing this instead of being locked away on my screens behind me. But yeah, met some really cool people too, man. It was some of these were from that event that day, like Lazy Bone and Warren G were at the Snoop Dogg event, and then Vanilla Ice concerts, or went on a boat ride with BT, a famous DJ out in Malta. So just some really, really awesome opportunities have come from my blockchain adventures that I've had so far. But as fun as all of that is, like the real wins that I want to talk about is that opportunity to help remove restraints from people's lives. You know, the opportunities to be a part of something bigger than yourselves, to go out and fuel yourself with something of passion that's going to change the world and be at the leading edge of it is an opportunity that doesn't come lightly. You know, for me, like I feel like I just was lucky enough to stumble into the room of the right people that are building things in the right way, putting things in the right direction instead of all of the other convoluted mess that we hear about in the blockchain industry where it's not being utilized the right way.
But you need to take action as well. Huh? You cannot. You need to take action. You can listen, but you also need to take action. So yeah, and also some luck, of course.
Absolutely, absolutely. But and then you know that opportunity to remove burdens. So this is my parents, and you know they were very supportive of me in my entire life. Like any endeavor I wanted to go into, they supported me through college. I just went to technical college. I studied in instrumentation, robotics and controls, and electrical power and controls. And you know it led to a really good career in power generation. I was very passionate about all of that until blockchain stole my heart. But you know, they did absolutely everything for me. And there's a little story here I want to tell. So I remember, you know, kind of hitting that part of loss of innocence whenever you sit around and you know you haven't seen your parents much lately because you've been working and doing different things and just realizing like man they're getting older, you know, and you know I'm sitting here missing some of this stuff. And I was helping my dad in his shop. So my dad is a automatic transmission mechanic. He operates a shop out of their house, and he has a really big shop. Um, and I remember him just working away, and I was helping him, and I was just kind of glancing around the shop, looking at you know different projects, his half finished projects, or his cars that I grew up working on them with, and his true like hobbies and passions, and they just sat there collecting dust. And I remember saying like dad, when are you gonna you know take some time for yourself and start working on this? Because I would look out the shop and there would be you know 10 vehicles there just waiting on deck to be worked on by him. And what he told me was really sad. It was you know my mom's a dental assistant and her boss is you know looking to retire fairly soon and close up shop. And he said well we probably still have about 20 years of the mortgage left, and we don't know the future of your mom's job or if she's going to be able to get into a newer practice because you know she's way behind in the technology because she stayed with her same boss this whole time. And uh, you know, so we'll probably be losing that income pretty soon. So I don't know if I'm going to have to, or if I'm going to be able to, you know, kind of stop. And he was taking that responsibility as, you know, a man and a leader of his family and just putting all that weight on his back and, you know, ensuring that the future of their household would be sustainable through any type of um, life events. And it just made me really, really sad thinking about like he's bearing this weight of having to work the rest of his life to make sure that like he and my mom can live comfortably. And I remember telling myself like in that moment, I was like, if this works, I'm gonna help them with that. Like I'm gonna make sure that they don't have to worry about that anymore. And I got to do that. You know, so I was able to um I was able to pay off their yeah, okay. So there it is. That I was able to pay off their mortgage and all of their debts and just make sure that all of that burden and all of that weight that they had could go away. so that they could start fresh, so that they could start enjoying themselves, so that they could start living life again the way that it's designed to be lived. And so my dad got to go work on his projects. He got to, fix his car and get it running. And like we go to car shows and stuff together. And he and my mom go to, cool vacations and actually live and grow their relationship instead of spending so much time apart because he's stuck in the shop working. And it was such an amazing opportunity for me to like be able to share that with them, and none of that would have been possible if I did not get involved in that project and start building out that blockchain and taking those types of actions. So it's really fun to be able to see that transpire, and the opportunity to be able to remove your parents' debt so that they can slow down and enjoy life is, to me, like, I think a really, really, really rare opportunity, and I'm very happy that I got to do that for them. And then others, like, these were some coworkers that believed early on and purchased nodes, and they didn't build out too hard, but they still did fairly well. And this was one of my really close friends from coworkers. Whenever he retired from work, he just shared his appreciation. And again, he's the one that did everything. Like, he's the one that took the action. He's the one that had the faith and believed in what was being built. He grasped the vision, but it still feels really good to have someone come to you and say, like, thank you for bringing this opportunity to me. So these are the types of things that fuel me and drive me to go out and share this with the world, so that um, others can experience that life changing opportunity that it is called blockchain, to have all of these cool experiences um, that I've talked about so far. And I found my tribe, being able to hang out with like-minded people that have this vision to go out and change humanity, how it's operating currently, and fixing that mess. That is a select group of people that you always want to surround yourself with, like the trailblazers that go out and are looking for better things, better technology, better systems to really take freedom to a whole nother level. Think people that are going to drive this and educate others and put all of that on their backs, because that's what they're truly passionate about. Like, that's your type of people that you cannot spend enough time with them. And I love this community and every single person that's here, that's taking a rope and pulling the sled in the same direction.
That's what I would like to do, to like add in Fort Lauderdale, to go to this event, go to the cruise, go to Las Vegas, and meet up every now and then from the whole world, not only from the States or Europe, but from Australia, from Asia. Now I'm still a football player, but if this takes off within 2-3 years, I would maybe just end my career there and focus on the next chapter in my life, because this type of people that you and I get to meet at these events. Is great people, and you have so much energy, and the connection you're building, relationship you're building, it gives you more than the money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was the first thing that ever attracted me was the money. But what I've stayed for is all of the other passion here, and as I've learned compliance and everything else, like, none of that even matters. It is all about this community, and it is amazing to meet all the people here. So I completely and wholeheartedly agree with you. And then finally, that path to making an impact, just like we were talking about, the passion for going out and changing major problems, like systemic problems that we have in the world. That's my newfound passion with gaming. That was cool, like, to see the changes that it can make over there, but there's not like a major, like, humanitarian type impact when it comes to gaming, versus if you're talking about our food or health or our uh, environmental problems or different things like that are where we can make a real impact to incentivizing change so that we can fix the world and how it's currently operating. So that's become a major, major passion in my life, and why I want to drive these networks out and change the way that we're currently doing things and start utilizing these networks and different protocols. And I do just want to be clear, just a quick little disclaimer. This was my journey up until this point, so what I'm about to talk about is very forward looking, and I can't say that any specific project is going to have the same trajectory as what GALA did, because I don't have a crystal ball. Like, I don't know if it's going to do better, worse, nothing at all. Who knows? But I am more excited about all of these going forward, specifically because we have a better starting point. Like, the communities here are massive in comparison to whenever we started out in the GALA previously arcade communities. We have better tech. So I showed how our distributions used to look in an Excel spreadsheet. There's an actual real UI here. There's real block explorers. Everything is on its own native network, its own layer 1 network. So everything is just tremendously like light years ahead of where we were whenever we were building out with GALA. And then governance. This is a big one. This was a huge learning opportunity from GALA, and why it was a great like test pilot project is having true community ownership and organization so that the whole community can collectively drive these councils in the direction that benefits the whole so that we can be sustainable. We don't want to be a flash in a pan and then move on from a project. We want to have checks and balances. We don't want to have one or two people solely have power over decisions on where the network goes or what the distribution looks like, or different products and services that can come on board. Like, it's purely up to us as a community and why we are node owners to take that upon ourselves, to have that level of responsibility, to make proposals, to have arguments, to come up with the best solutions so that we can all vote and transparently change and drive this in the direction that it needs to go. And world sentiment. Governments are turning to blockchain for everything. And the timing could not be better now than ever. Everyone is starting to talk about blockchain. They understand the benefits of it. And here we are building out the network and the rails for anyone to come plug in and start utilizing it because the systems are already built for them. And then AI, like, that is one of the most talked about things that you could ever look at on any news article or website or station right now. Everyone is talking about the rapid growth of AI and the different things that it can offer. And, we're getting ahead of that going into Web 4, where AI meets blockchain. Such an exciting time in the world. And here we are at the forefront of it. Like, you still don't even hear much about Web 4. And we really are like leading the frontier in those regards. So that was my GALA story and how I got started, and where I'm currently as a community member and what I'm excited about in driving the future of all of these other projects. And I'm excited to take the leap with all of you and lock arms and really take all of this to the world.
Great, thank you. It's an awesome story presentation, and to hear it again, it takes some time to take everything in, but it's an amazing story, and I hope that I also get some similar story, and also the people who are following us get their own story to build on and to pass it forward like you're doing. So yeah, amazing to hear.
Thank you. Yeah. So we had a side conversation that we talked about, right? Excuse me. We talked about kind of the growth and adoption of internet and kind of the similarities to where we are currently in blockchain. And yeah, I couldn't talk, any better about the transitions of Web 1 to, where we are into Web 3. So everyone understands that Web 1 was where you could only read the internet. Like it was almost intranet, like local computers tied into a network at a business or something so that they could read data. And then as we go more global, we get into Web 2 where you could read and write to the internet, right? Like your social medias and everything else online. But what spurred that growth? And that's really only up to like mass adoption. So if you go all the way back to like Web 1, where we're talking pre AOL days, like pre 95, where if you wanted to connect to the internet, you basically had to be a coder and you had to use something like Netscape or some type of interface. And it was very, very, very complicated. And eventually, AOL came out with the AOL disk to where anyone could pop it in their computer. They could load up AOL and then they could interact with it because there was this user interface that was easy. And I really look at Connect and all of these other impact brands as being that AOL disk for mass adoption for Web3 to push into that transition from Web 2 to Web3. Because right now, currently, well, actually, it's actually getting pretty easy because of Connect. But previous to that, you had to be pretty dang sharp to figure out how to interact with blockchain. Like you had to know how to convert some circuits to 240 volts. You had to figure out how to plumb out hot exhaust from really hot machines and run air conditioners and do different things. Then you still had to be a coder to connect to blockchain, like specifically maybe Bitcoin mining or something. But now with Connect, you can easily purchase software, load it up either on your own machine at the house or host it on like a VPS and connect right online within like 5 minutes, like simple clicks. It's very easy to participate in blockchain technology now. And not only as, supporting the infrastructure, but just being a consumer. I really feel like we're about to be at the point where, the consumers are going to want a product or service and they're not even going to care about, the token or anything in between. They're just utilizing our network as a means of transaction so that they can go from point A to point Z. So specifically, like if they're wanting some food or a supplement, or they want to utilize a web hosting service that protects their privacy and data, they don't care about the token in between that. All they want is that product or service, but they are utilizing our rails. They're utilizing our network. They are utilizing our tokens, and they're putting buying pressure into our markets on their way to getting there. So we no longer have to worry about this speculative type thing on just the blockchain. We are worrying about delivering products or services to where demand for that is demand for the token, which is our infrastructure. We're transitioning away from complicated or useless blockchain technology where people they spin up a token and they just want everyone to buy the token, or they're spinning up a network that produces a token that they want everyone to buy the token. Just pure speculative waste that's not utilizing the technology for what it is solely designed to do. We are actually building an infrastructure that's a means of commerce for people to transact on to get products or services, real world revenue on chain. And I don't think there's anyone else in the world that's doing what's being built here. So I feel like there's a lot of, like synergy between the transition of Web 1 to Web 2, from Web 2 to Web 3. And I feel like Connect and all of these impact brand partners are essentially like that AOL dish for mass adoption, so that everyone's going to be utilizing blockchain, maybe whether they know they're utilizing it or not.
That's the thing. People are tired of buying air or buying promises or buying stuff that will happen maybe in a 1, 2, 3 years. But now we're starting to have real products, like we're having platforms that you can have digital meetings on. Rlink, we have Grow, you can buy food with, that you can follow the data, the cow from on the farm to the food on your plate, and those stuff, and many more. That is a real use case in the world. And like you said, Gala, it was just gaming. It was like, you don't revolutionize anything big. It's not like to help the planet, to nourish the world, nourish the animals, like we grow, or building a secure platform or on the blockchain rails, that no one can spy on you, because that's a real use case, and that gives value to the people and take away the power from centralized organizations and companies. And that's what Connect are trying to build and have built, but it will grow a lot every month, I think, especially now in crypto are getting mass adopted. By, you see Trump, you see the new administration in the US are paving the way, and people, the normal people, will start to realize what's going on. And Connect has been building for many years and have positioned itself. We have positioned ourselves, and also the people who are listening, or if you're new to this, it's still early. It's still very early. It's hard to. We think we are late, but I think we're not late. We're still very early. So it's hard to think about that, because Bitcoin is no Bitcoin is. It's already too high, too expensive. And I talked to my old teammates in Malmo 5 years ago, and they said, "No, I'm looking for the next Bitcoin." And that Bitcoin was $8,000, $7,000, and now it's like, yeah, how many X's? It's lots of X's. So it's still early, and yeah, I'm excited what's going to happen here the coming months and years, and we're here to build something that will last for the future. And sometimes people want to happen tomorrow, next week, tomorrow, what's going on with the price? But Connect are not focusing on the price at the moment. Of course, if you can get a rally or hype, people will talk about it. So of course it can be good for the product to be hyped up, but also it's bad to just hype up and then 2, 3 months later it goes down to almost zero. I think the project here will want to build something that will last and also get revenue and have some foundations behind it, like Tony are talking about with Allink, that he want to drive revenue. He creates value that people are buying the digital platform for, and then will buy up token on the market. And yeah, it's a win-win. You create value, and then you will get paid for it. And we're node holders, so we will get paid in the end, hopefully. And yeah, anything you would like to add there?
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing of like building something real, something that's sustainable, that can last the stand of time. Like it has to be driven for some type of symbiotic. Like you can't get something for nothing. That's the broken model of why the world's in the way, like the state that it's in. We have the traditional model where you have investors, like let's say Wall Street, like if you're talking about BlackRock or anything else, they have an investor that invests in a company, and then they deal with the consumers below. But they don't care about the consumers. They only care about them enough to keep them buying their products so that they can kick the profits over to the investor. And how do you ever get out of that endless cycle? Because at some point, their markets may become saturated. So the only way for them to continue giving profits to their investors is to start cutting quality on their products and services. And we've lived through that. Like, how many things have you watched go downhill? Like, you no longer even get a charger with your iPhone anymore, but your iPhone has gone up in price. So how do you fix that model? Well, the way that you fix that is to have no investors, have your community, who is your consumer, actually have ownership on level with the producers. So now they have that symbiotic relationship between the two. It's supposed to be an equitable trade. It's not supposed to be a subpar trade that it's lopsided so that only one person can win in all of that. Whenever we all have ownership and we all have the same stake in the network, if every single person, no matter if you are a president or CEO of an impact brand, you have to come in the same way everyone else does for this fair model. Now you have to produce products and services that support your community because your community supports you. And that type of relationship fixes what's wrong in the systematic problems for the world today. So that long-term sustainability is what's being built out here. This isn't speculation. This isn't we're going to build a token and pump it. This is we're building a network infrastructure to support commerce so that industry specific products and services can be tailored to, built upon, and sold to the consumers products and services that they actually want. And they're going to have a say so in how all of that's built.
Yeah, no, it's a big vision, and we've been hearing from Jim, we've been hearing from Tony, Darren, Scott from Element, Will from Will Taylor from Grow, and they're so passionate about these projects. They're putting all their time, money, energy into this stuff, and I think if you have like community, decentralized community, you can get so many smart people to work together instead of having company maybe have 1,000 employees, 2,000, 5,000. But if you have a community, let's say you have 2 million, 3 million people, and like if you work together, people will have great marketers inside this community. We have engineers, people who can program better than Facebook people. Like people will connect and talk to each other. So that's the vision. And yeah, we don't have millions yet, but you need to have a vision and have a sort of believe that you will make a difference in the world. And I think that these projects, I have not seen anything like this in this space. Have you?
No. This, everything that's being built out here is being done the right way. And I say that to that exact point that you mentioned. Like that inclusion of the community, how can someone as a traditional like Web 2 business, how can they compete with that? Like this is going to change the mindset of the entire world whenever you have a community come on board something. Because you're right, even if someone does have 2,000 employees, how can you compete with 2 million, 3 million community members that are contributing efforts and energy towards that? And that is what, so with the organization of these councils and the DGFs, like that's about to get a huge upgrade whenever people start coming on board and start doing like bounty tasks like, hey, is anyone good at marketing? Is anyone good at social media? Is there any developers in here? Whatever it is, everyone has their skill sets that they bring to the table that they can contribute. And whenever we're all collectively doing that, no business in the world can compete with that. And they'll have like no choice but to join because our infrastructure is built out so well that why would they not want to participate in it?
No, that's looking forward what's coming here next. And what's next is the cruise here in I can't be there, unfortunately. I have my football here in Cyprus. I would love to be there, but I know many people are asking about exchange listings and so on. You know anything about that, or you think something will happen during the coming months, or is when the community grows, it will be like automatic process?
I know, like going through the gala days, it was kind of surprising, but yeah, I feel like we're getting at that community level where, exchange listings and those types of things could start happening fairly soon. So I'm pretty excited about the future of that, and then opening the doors to the rest of the world so that more community members can find out about the projects and start using the products and services. That's where the real fun begins.
Yeah, exactly. For me, you have been even longer than me, and with this success story with Gala. Of course, nothing is ever repeating, but sometimes the history can rhyme at least. And for me, it feels like something big will happen. Of course, with the big tokens, Bitcoin, Ethereum, have already almost skyrocket from I don't know, 3 months just straight up. So in crypto, a lot of things can happen in a short window of time, and sometimes you can be so close, and people give up. Maybe people have been there for 5 years, 4 years, 2 years, and think that nothing will happen. But for me, it's now is the time to dig even deeper and even be more excited and more into these projects, because now we are so close and now we have real stuff going on. So for me, it's like if you're here now, you have been through the long process and long journey. So now it's probably the fun will start to happen, and all the visions will come to reality. So I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen these coming 6 months, 12 months, and also in 5 years. You never know, but for me at least, it feels like we're very, very close. What's your feeling, or you got the intuition?
Yeah, yeah, no, I feel like we're gonna see some major momentum, fairly soon. And you're right. Like this window of opportunity that we're in, whenever token prices are low, is very similar to where, I was talking about getting $200 commissions. At one point I remember a $200 commission was a million gala. And, I held on to that. And you could see what, if you look at like a back pay of that commission, what that actually was. And it's a short window of time to be able to accumulate as many rewards as you possibly can because token prices are low. Like that is the time to run. That's the time to go out and expand the community and produce all of the action points that you possibly can do. So for those that are, impact block bots on here, staying ahead of that curve. And if you're not, making sure that you get to that point, because think about this. Whenever the world finds out about us and they start buying all kinds of products and services, that's revenue that is coming into the ecosystem. And with smart flow through WinPay, like all of those node support rewards, all of that flows back to us as the community. And if you are not already, positioned to be able to receive those distributions, you're missing out from all of that. So you need to get ahead of that curve, make sure that your impact block bot, and continue to produce those action points so that you can be as high rank as you possibly can for whenever that comes. Because every single day of missed rewards are rewards that you'll never get back.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this will be a great first episode. Maybe I will cut in two, but otherwise I'll just put it together. And I would like to have you on again, maybe in 2 months or 1 month, to see what's been happening and to update the community, the Connect community, my community, your community, and together we will grow together and help each other. And I met so many amazing people from Australia, from the US. So I hope to see you soon again in real life, not only on these meetings.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. hate I'm missing you on the cruise. It would have been a good time to hang out, but completely understand life happens, and there's always going to be plenty of opportunities within the community for us to meet up, and then yeah, I'd love to be back on the call and talk with all of your followers and the entire community, and really really geek out on some of this stuff. I love this.
Yeah, we can go even deeper. Of course, I think it is good even for new beginners who's never heard about Connect or just heard 2 or 3 times to hear about what's happening right now and what will happen or probably will happen very soon when crypto takes off here in a short. Um, Even today it went up like 10%, 5% Solana, and you can see in the Google searches that it's starting to climb a little bit about crypto, but the retail investors, they are not here yet. So it's still pretty quiet. You can see YouTube views. It's not even close to 17 or 21, and now it should be even higher because now even more people knows about it. So I would watch YouTube views and Google searches to see what's going on, and we are not even peaked up yet. So I think we have 6, 8 months probably with the rates going down as well. So I think everything is aligning perfect for Connect. It would be not so fun maybe if the run was too early and the projects were not so ready. But I think as every week passed here, we getting more ready, and the bull market is still keeping going sideways more or less. But I think something will pop soon, and then we trickle down to the other projects, and it's getting easier to talk about Connect also when people start to get interest in Bitcoin and Solana. When all my old friends from high school will call me again, and then I will say, yeah, of course Bitcoin is good, but look at this project and Connect. I believe in this also. So that's what I would say to them because I really believe things will start to happen very, very soon. So I would like to thank you, Jake, and yeah, we keep in touch and see you here on the channel again in 1 or 2 months.
Sounds great. Yeah, and thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. Thank you. See you in the next one, and thank you for listening. And follow and subscribe this channel because I will do even more updates about the crypto market, but of course, lots of Connect content. So I keep you updated. So see you in the next one. Ciao.